All right, everyone. Welcome to Odd One Out. Welcome back. If you've been watching, if this is your first time here, it's good to see you. Good to virtually meet you. Tonight's episode, we're going to be talking about Oklahoma candidates running for the midterms at the federal level. I tried my best to do what I could on what kind of funding they got, what donation structure they have. That's always the number one thing, in my opinion, whenever you're looking at these candidates, because who pays you dictates how you govern. If you got somebody who is getting paid by the oil and gas industry, especially if they're getting paid hand over fist, who do you think they're going to pass bills for? Who do you think they're going to work for? Versus if you have a candidate who refuses corporate donations, PAC donations, who do you think they're going to govern for? Why do you think they would govern for the oil and gas companies if they don't have any money from them? Why do you think they'd govern for Israel policies if they don't take any money from AIPAC? So to me, that's always the number one thing I look at for candidates. That's even before I look at their party, before their policy, before anything else. I always want to see what their donation structure is, and that's something I think that everybody should try to do. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and minimize my screen here, or actually I'll pull up this. It won't be on the screen with you guys. Again, I'm a rookie channel. One day maybe we'll get that going. But did the best that I could. Some of these candidates are coming either from no politician experience or they're coming from the state level. And they do get donations at the state level. They can get PAC donations even. But it's kind of difficult to find versus federal. So I don't have funding information available for everyone. And some of these people don't even have amounts. But I do have, if I say they got a certain PAC donations or whatever, that was because I was able to find that. So I'm going to start. I don't think I put this list in any particular order. It looks like it kind of just bounces everywhere. So we'll start with Kevin Hern. Kevin Hern is a... actually, you know what? Is he still running? I need to find that out real quick. I think, okay. Yeah, that's right. I got confused because he's not running for representative anymore, which is what he currently is. He's looking to run in Senator Mark Wayne Mullin, or I should say, Secretary of Homeland Defense, Mark Wayne Mullin's seat that he was in the Senate. So Kevin Hern, he'll be running for the Senate seat, meaning everybody in Oklahoma can vote for this guy. He doesn't have a certain district. His whole district is Oklahoma. So this guy takes a lot of money. Takes a whole bunch of money that is non-grassroots. If I state any amounts of money, it's because it comes from non-individual, non-grassroots donors. So anytime I say that so-and-so takes a bunch of money, that means they take a bunch of PAC money, AIPAC money, corporate money, anything like that. I was able to find it. It looks like he's pulled in $1.89 million in campaign donations that are not grassroots. That was all from his runs in the House. I think he's actually $1.6 million specifically comes from PACs. So he essentially gets. I'm not so fast on my math here. 1.6 divided into 1.9. Almost all of his funding comes from PAC donations. Corporations, big money donors, millionaires and billionaires. So already you should be like, wow, okay, this guy gets like all of his funding from big money. Do you think he really has Oklahomans' interests in mind? Like your average middle class family? Let's not be naive here. I mean, he's getting hand over fist what he makes as a salary in Congress, which is already a lot of money. So, whole bunch of corporate money. His policies lean really. It's typical MAGA stuff. Steep tax cuts, and let me tell you something. The tax cuts. Everybody gets a tax cut. I get a tax cut. You get a tax cut. Everybody gets a tax cut. You might immediately think it's misleading whenever you see statistics about lowering taxes only for the wealthy, and and I've even seen some people try to spin it as the working class gets taxed more. They're actually true in a sense. What they mean when they say that is the steep cuts to Medicare, Medicaid, SNAP benefits, all of those cuts, the dollar amount of those cuts outweigh the tax cuts for a lot of people. And so that is a very real thing. Just because you're getting a massive tax cut does not mean you're coming out, good. That you're coming out net positive on the cash flow. If you are a recipient of Medicaid or SNAP, for example, so that's something important to keep in mind. The Republicans have just drilled it in their head that just always lower the taxes, just every time, and just like shut off your brain, stop thinking. And so they don't look at anything like what I just mentioned to you. They don't look at our $38 trillion deficit. They don't think of anything that government can do, which it makes me wonder sometimes why Republicans even vote. If they believe so little in government, perhaps and this could be an answer. Perhaps it's because they I want only Republicans in there to have no government whatsoever, pretty much, or as limited government as possible. It's a little frustrating sometimes, just because, like I said, it's you're voting for government positions and you don't even believe in government. So, but and funny enough, MAGA is as big government as it gets. So the party of small government doesn't even exist anymore. So he's huge on tax cuts. He's huge on deregulation, which depends on what industry, in my opinion, that we're talking about deregulating. Like, if you want to deregulate, by cutting down, like Thomas Massey, he's not a proponent of universal health care, which is my choice. There's several different kinds of universal health care, single payer tax systems. Single payer healthcare systems, and he's not for any of them. But he does want to cut down state lines, like how insurance companies don't have to compete nationwide; they only compete within their state. So he does want to do some pretty common sense things, like make them compete against each other nationwide to drop down rates. So I think that stuff like that can be good. But the problem with late stage capitalism, like we're experiencing, where there's such a massive wealth inequality gap, is that we need more regulation. Capitalism. This is why I'm a social democrat, not a democratic socialist. I love capitalism. That's what makes me a social democrat on the left. I am an FDR Democrat. He was a social democrat before the term even existed. And I essentially believe that capitalism is like the world's strongest vacuum. It pulls in the most money. But the problem is it gets sucked to the corners of the vacuum, the far reaches, and just you have this gaping hole in the middle. And so we need regulation. We need strong social safety nets. We need to tax the wealthy. We need to close the loopholes. Start taxing their unrealized capital gains. They hold properties, they hold stock, they do all these things to get past the tax burden. We need to make them pay their fair share somehow. So to me, deregulation is typically not good in late stage capitalism, but it's not always bad. And he's for strong borders. I am too. When it comes to deportations, I would like to see them done humanely, and I would like to see a pathway for these, especially for the productive citizens that are the productive illegal immigrants that pay taxes and work hard and don't break any crimes other than crossing the border. That's the only crime they've ever committed. I really think these people should be given a pathway. They make our country better. They do so many jobs that Americans don't like. They build our houses. They build our infrastructure. Like I said, they pay in taxes and they don't get any of it back. So a fun fact is that they are strong bolsters of our Social Security, which we're worried about running out of funds for. And we want to deport all of them, even though they just pay into it and they never pull it back. So, I am for a strong border. I think that you do need a strong border. So it's that may be the only thing. Maybe if I sat here and thought for 17 hours straight, I might be able to think of more policies that I like from Trump. But that's definitely one that's like a no-brainer, like a strong border. So Trump is my daddy to the max, okay? So there's that about him too. He's one of the MAGAs that will never let go of Trump until the ship is gone, everybody's turned, and then he'll finally come out and say, he was wrong, I never supported the guy, okay? So I don't trust these people as far as I can throw them, so. But that's Kevin Hearn. He pretends to be an outsider, when in reality, he's as swampy as it gets. He's propped up by corporations, billionaires, millionaires. He's not an outsider, okay? He's an outsider at your backyard barbecue, but he's not an outsider in at Capitol Hill. He's as swampy as it gets, okay? Okay, moving on, Jim Priest. And a bunch of these candidates, I actually think I have seen the name Jim Priest. I've not heard about all these people, and so I wish I would have put their positions. I don't want to sit here and have pauses in the video, so I'm just going to tell you about the candidates in general. Jim Priest, Democrat. There's no meaningful data yet on what his donation structure looks like, so I won't speak for it or against it. I don't know. So he is a moderate. I do know that he's going to be a corporate Democrat, so he likely will probably pull some kind of PAC donations. I went to Rogers County Democratic, it was like a meet and greet kind of thing. This is about 7-8 months ago, where we met 7 Democratic candidates, and none of them took any kind of PAC money. They all were grassroots only, individual donors. But this guy was not one of those guys that was there. So anytime I see a moderate Democrat, I will take them over MAGA any day of the week. But the way that moderate Democrats are, like the Chuck Schumers and the Hakeem Jeffries, they're just MAGA light to me, or Diet MAGA, whatever you prefer. So I'm really skeptical of these guys. I think in the primaries, it's up to us to make sure that we choose the right candidates. Number one, always look at the donation structure. Always first thing, who pays them? Who puts money in their pockets? So Jim, I don't really know him. I do know his policies, though. He's a moderate. He's an institutional Democrat, so I'm wary of the guy. I don't have enough information on him right now. So, moving down, Irvin Yin, another Democrat. He is somebody who, at the state level, did take some PAC money. So, and he got a lot of support from institutional Democrats. So, he used to be a GOP state senator, and then he went independent, and now he's running as a Democrat. I didn't see the timeline on some of the stuff. Is hard to find, like in Oklahoma at the state level. It is hard to find some of the donation history. I don't know when he took, institutional money. I don't know if it was while he was Republican only, or Republican and Democrat, or independent. Like I don't know any of these things. Unfortunately, it's really hard to find. So I'm skeptical. I think that's cool to see a direction. It shows growth. It shows reacting to the reality that's around you. So I give him props. He's an anti-MAGA. In a sense, you can call him an ever-Trumper. Okay. So he's a Republican that was just appalled by the direction of the party, and he moved left. Okay. So and he truly is a moderate, not only just by that, but by his own statements, he's a moderate. So I'll keep on saying it every time I see the word moderate. I'm a leftist, man. I'm done. I'm done with this stuff. It's our turn. It's the leftist turn. Okay. So wish the best for him. Just not in the primaries. We need to make the right decision in the primaries. Moving down to Troy Green. I got to meet Troy Green. He was one of the guys at the Democratic convention that we went to. He is running for state senate seat. He will be competing in the same one with Kevin Hearn, the one that is replacing Markwayne Mullin. Troy, like I said, for one of the 7, he does not take any corporate donations, no PAC donations, so his donation structure is fantastic. In fact, I found that he's about $11,000 total, which is really bad. Like, that's bad. And that is exactly why a lot of these people will take PAC donations. I can understand that. I do. I still think that it's a gold standard, and it's a must. Like, we need, and by the way, we could talk about policies passed at the federal level that would kind of take in the funding overall of donations and kind of give allowances in a sense. It would be really hard to do. Admittedly, I don't even know if it ever passed. But it's at least in the sense of trying to get money out of politics and trying to make it focus more not on money, but just on strict policy and the candidates' qualifications. It would produce better outcomes. It's really tricky. I don't know how we would get about to doing it. So, the guy unfortunately does not have very much money. I don't know how you run a Senate campaign with only $11,000, and that's counting some of his own contributions. So, I wish the best for the guy. I'll tell you this. I met him. I talked to him. I'm going to be very honest, even though I like the guy. I like the guy a lot, actually. He came from the streets. He was homeless, was a drug addict. turned his life around. Former MMA fighter too. He's a success story in the sense of like life success, and like the dude would be a really good faith person, I think. But when I pressed him on his policy, I couldn't really tell what he stood for. When I asked him what his thoughts about like universal health care, I'm struggling to remember the specifics, So, and actually, you know what? I'm gonna back off of the universal health care because I don't want to speak wrong against him. I can't quite remember if he had a stance on that or not. I feel like I probably would have remembered it, but I don't know. I do remember asking him what he thought about the taxation structure, and he said a flat tax for everybody, which there's nothing morally wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with it, okay? Problem is, and actually it would be, it would be an improvement if you took away the loopholes and made it truly where everybody was actually paying the same kind of tax rate. Problem is, capitalism, yes, everybody has the opportunity to get ahead. Everybody does. But the reality is you have to have a lot of luck too. And we need to live in a functioning society. We're the richest country on the planet, okay? It gets to a certain level where, like Elon Musk, what is the difference between, even like, it's crazy to say it loud, what's the difference between $10 billion for him or $100 billion? Is his lifestyle any different if he's worth $500 billion versus $600 billion? No, it's not. And so if you want a functioning society, if billionaires do not, I'm seeing all these stories come out and the Five Guys CEO paid out bonuses to his employees because he doesn't want to get Luigi'd. He said literally, don't want to get shot in the back. I'm seeing Sam Altman had Molotov cocktails thrown at his house. You see Mark Zuckerberg, who is building like a compound, like spending, I think it's like $180 million compound, just like an end of times type of compound. If you want to be a rich, extremely wealthy person, Epstein class, and you don't want, like, I'm not defending any of this stuff. I'm just telling you, look at the French Revolution. Look at all the revolutions in history. I know we had a different one. Well, ours was based on taxation against us that we were like, this is not fair. You're making me pay all this money to the king. In a sense, it's kind of the same way, where it's like the working class is out here sweating, working 60 to 70 hours a week, and then you want to try to tell them you can make it too. Why haven't you made it? While they're literally one medical bill away from being broke and just destroyed. It's like, no, we need a new deal. We need to figure this out with the taxation, with the tax structure. You can't have people working 70 hours a week, barely being able to afford to live. You can't do that in the wealthiest country in America. It's not because the people are stupid. It's not because they didn't work hard enough. So we need a new way forward. Okay. So a flat rate tax it's not going to cut it for me. But like I said, I really like Troy. He's a good dude. I will not vote for him in the primary. I will vote for Nikayla Jasmine Thomas in the primary. But, I really like the guy. I wish him the best. I think the world would be a better place if there were a lot more Troy Greens. So, I don't, $11,000, that's crazy. Mark Tedford, he's running as a representative in my district. I actually Mark is the only Republican that answered my questions on Facebook whenever I was asking. And I've asked several different times to several candidates. I've never got any answers, okay? Mark answered me, okay? I find that highly he could tell that I was not aligned with him by the questions I was asking, because the first question I asked is, do you take PAC money? And he also, talking about money, he announced he was running his campaign by giving by himself loaning his campaign $500,000. Immediately, that sent off alarms in my head, because are you going to charge interest on the loan? Because you can do that. And so I asked him, I was like, do you take PAC money, and are you going to charge interest? Are you going to make a profit off of the loan that you gave? Because he's going to donate $500,000 that he's almost certain, like, it would be a disaster for him not to get it back. It would mean that he wasn't able to raise enough funds. He's going to take PAC donations to help fill the gap too. So he loans $500,000. He's going to get all that back once the donations come in, and then he can also charge interest on it. So the dude is making money running a campaign, like profiting running a campaign, whenever it's supposed to be Are we forgetting that government positions are a service to the people? And even just that whole thing aside, it's just scummy to me. And so I asked him that, do you take PAC donations, and will you make a profit off your loan? And he answered me. And he answered me honestly and truthfully, Mostly. He answered totally transparently about the PAC donations, and he said, yes, I've taken PAC donations. Whenever he was at the state level, and I was able to find that myself. I was not able to find the amount. I was able to find contributions by like companies like CVS. It seems like he gets a lot of health care, health sector related donations. And I looked and saw that he owns his own insurance firm. So that kind of makes sense. So the dude takes a whole bunch of corporate donations, but he's honest. He answers questions. That's a huge positive for a politician nowadays. It's unfortunately like we're setting the bar so low, but he was honest. On the loan, I felt like he was honestly a little bit kind of slick with it. He said, I've heard vaguely about people making profits off of loans to their campaigns, and I'm like, so then I followed up. I don't know if he thought I was just going to drop off or what. I was persistent. I said, okay, thank you for answering my question honestly. I appreciate you even answering. I haven't been able to get answers from anybody else. But I got to ask you again, will you make a profit off of your loan? And he said, no, I don't plan to. And then I told him again, I'm like, that's not a definite no. Like, this should just be no, I'm not. Or yes, I will. Like, just be honest. So my gut tells me he's going to make interest. he's going to make interest off of his loan. The rich get richer. America's great at that. Late stage capitalism, like I said. But he's honest, okay? Fun fact, I'm a registered Republican. I did that, and I'm having buyer's remorse for reasons my wife told me. And it's like, you need it. Like, I always know that she's right. And I still, I was so naive to think, I'm going to register as a Republican. I was independent before. I'm clearly a leftist. But I'm going to register Republican so that I can help them choose responsible candidates in their primaries. And then just being honest, looking at these Republican candidates makes me want to shove my arms into a meat grinder. Like, I'm just like, none of these guys are winners, okay? Mark is the best winner out of all the reps in OKO1, okay? I'm going to vote for him in the primary in June. I'm going to vote for Mark Tedford in the primary. Not going to vote for John Croissant will be my guy whenever it comes time for the actual election, the final election, the general election. But for the Republican primary, I want to reward him with my vote. He was honest with me. I have not been able to find anything where he's like pro-Trump. He's very America First Republican. Definitely on that vibe, but like as far as like Trump, he had to have been in the past, but I haven't been able to find anything on him being a pro-Trumper MAGA. So hey, I don't think that he's the type of candidate I think that he's the type of candidate that will perpetuate the problem in America. He doesn't seem like the guy to go after the Epstein class. He is the Epstein class. And by the way, if that's the first time you keep on hearing it, but you don't really understand what people mean when they say that, or you think it's like offensive, it does not at all indicate any kind of sex crimes or like anything. All it simply means is he's of the elite class. He's of the class that if he were to forget sex crimes, just any kind of crime, people like him are usually going to be treated differently than people like you and me that would get thrown in the slammer immediately. It's a two-tiered justice system. It's a two-tiered society. As a society, it's a two-tier society, two-tiered tax system. So he will represent, in my opinion, the Epstein class. He will represent the elites. He's not going to go out there and work hard for you, the Oklahoman. Okay, that's my personal opinion. But I mean, I'm just approaching this in an angle of who pays him, what kind of policies he stand for, what's his life background. And just like stuff like I said, like making, what surely sounds like he will almost certainly make interest off of the loan. And by the way, I mean, I'm happy that he's successful. I want people to be successful. Like, even if you're like ideologically exact opposite of me, I want you to have high wages. I want you to have a great lifestyle. But I sit here and think it could not be any more representative of the Epstein class than just having $500K cash to loan out to your campaign and be like, here you go, I'm going, let's do it. So that's Mark. He'll be getting my vote, not in the general, but he will in the primary. Kim David, she makes me want to slam my face into the wall. She took more PAC money than Mark did. At the state level, I think the majority speaker. So like she has like, as far as her resume, it's a good political resume. A lot of people, and especially Republicans, would say that she's a career politician. If you're a good politician, I really don't care about how long you've been there. Like, Bernie's a career politician. I think he's fantastic. So that whole term, career politician, doesn't really throw me off. Unless it's in the sense that you're just there just collecting paychecks and not working for the American people, then absolutely. But she is what the Republicans would call a career politician, but here she is, taking massive sums of PAC money. Oil and gas is her main source of donors. She is MAGA, and yes, it pains me to say in Oklahoma, like, you will still see ads still running, and you're going to see them continue to run, that I am pro Trump. Oh, Trump all the way. I stand with the commander in chief. It's like, and unfortunately, we'll find out if they truly get away with it. But they've always been able to get away with it, and I worry they will still get away with it because my state is so brainwashed. It is pure identity politics. It is party over country. It is anti-democrat. It is own the libs. There's no policy. They can talk all they want about the anti-Christian stances like abortion, and then just completely overlook their daddy posting himself as Jesus Christ. So, not to mention like literally everything else. But it just Kim David, that type of politician absolutely is destroying our country. I could not have any more disdain for these kind of politicians. So she will not be getting my vote. She won't answer any of my questions that I've asked her, and all in respect. I've asked her pretty much the same questions I've asked Mark. I'm about to start getting spicy, but I haven't yet. So Jackson Laymeyer, I hope I'm probably saying that wrong. Looks like his donation structure was also hard to find. That's all that I really say about that. So I'm not gonna make any kind of judgment call on that. He's a MAGA guy. Like, it's just okay. Like I said, all these candidates, like Tedford blows me away because he's not a MAGA guy. It's like, oh, I think you might be the only one who is not just, and maybe he's like MAGA, like, he's not, he's just smart enough to back off of just like proclaiming that he loves a pedophile protector. So I don't know, but he is a religious MAGA populist, evangelical Christian. So I'm going to echo pretty much all the same things that I said about Kim. You can just apply that to him as far as how I feel about this type of candidate. And look, it's not that you're a Christian that bothers me. It's whenever you weaponize Christianity, like a Charlie Kirk, for example, weaponize Christianity against minorities and people groups. Like, Jesus would have not been here heckling the trans person or making fun of them or inviting a crowd to laugh at them. Jesus would have not been sitting here. I'm not here to preach. Okay, I'm a Christian. I just don't vibe with all this hate and this wanting to control people's lives. So the evangelical Christians, like people. This is another thing I mentioned in my previous video, that people like to not like really think like there has to be like bad, evil people. Like you have to like there's some of this ideology that's evil. Not all of it's good, okay? And so, shoot, I just got lost. Oh, right. The same exact kind of concept applies to, like, you have to realize there are Pharisees. There are modern day Pharisees. Like, nobody wants to sit here and talk about who the Pharisees today are. It's like, did they not even exist? Did the evangelicals think that Pharisees, like, don't exist in today's world? Like, who? So it's like it's people like that weaponize scripture, use it against people groups, and just use it to to just completely. It's a gospel of hate. Okay, it's a gospel of thou shalt not. It's a gospel of controlling, and so I don't at all think that that's what the gospel is about. I think the gospel is about love and loving your neighbor, loving God, loving others. That's the whole ball game. Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life. Live by Jesus. And you will live in accordance to him, in accordance to how to be a Christian. So, so that's, I don't have a whole bunch on him other than just those stated policies. So if I ever find out more about these people's donation structures, I'll let you know. Because like I said, that's number one before everything, including what I said about, like, Well, no, I'll stay consistent, including before MAGA. Sorry, I'm like so like anti-MAGA given reality in the world that's happened in front of me. But at the end of the day, truly, the number one thing you should be looking at is their donations. That tells you everything. Okay, it's at least a start. My boy John Croissant. I'm extremely excited to vote for John Croissant. I am so excited to vote for John Croissant. I think he's fantastic. He was a former teacher. He is a former Republican that went Democrat. He does not take. He told me the only non-grassroots, non-individual donor money he takes is from teachers unions because he was like, because you know who makes up teachers unions, and we're like, teachers, like individuals. And he's like, exactly. So it's like, oh yeah, okay, that makes sense. I love this guy. I really love this guy. He is a proponent of universal health care. He is a proponent of taxing the wealthy to make them pay their fair share. You know, he is a huge proponent on education. Like in Oklahoma, we need that. We're 50th in education. So, you know, his funding matches his message. He says that he will fight for the Oklahomans, and his policies, his policy stances say that. So does his donation structure. It looks like he's got about 67,000 so far. That's still freaking hard to run a campaign off of. I wish him the best. I'm so hopeful. I'm like, Oklahoma, please. Just like the same way I feel like, please elect Ro Khanna. I'm like, please, Oklahoma, please elect John Croissant. Like, if you put these candidates in office, you will not regret it. These guys will go to bat for you every single day. And even if you don't agree with them on any or many or all of the policies, really, it's going to be a candidate that if you were to call their office and you leave a message, they're gonna take it in. They're actually going to listen to you. They're not going to listen to the Israel lobby. He doesn't owe anybody anything except the Oklahomans that donate to him. He doesn't owe oil and gas anything. He doesn't owe Israel anything. He doesn't own the healthcare companies anything. He doesn't, or health insurance really. He doesn't owe anything except to the Oklahomans. And so a candidate like that, it's like, yes, please, please, Oklahoma, please. Like, this would be my dream candidate for Oklahoma, okay? Moving on, Josh Burkeen. MAGA evangelical. He's got a mix of PAC and individual donors. I think the guy means well, based off of, like, it's been a little bit since I've, like, continuously streamed Congress. Like, I used to always, like, almost the whole day while I was working, just in the background, listen to live on the House of Representative floor or the Senate floor. He's a representative, and I used to think, like, this guy. I think he's at least good faith. Okay, so he's a Republican. The thing though that makes me beyond skeptical is he's like pretty dang far right. Like, he's a religious, fundamentalist, like extremist. I know that language will turn some people off, but it's the same kind of thing. I haven't seen him use it for hate, so I'm not gonna slander the guy, but I am always wary of somebody who governs with the religion. Just because, like, for the same reasons I mentioned before, that I'm not gonna keep on bringing them up all throughout the video. It's just I don't, so I don't think these people reflect Jesus in their policy making, or at least their outcomes for sure. So, I don't have too much to say other than I'm not a Burkeen fan. I'm not. I don't think he's like a horrible person or anything. He does not take nearly as much PAC money as others, but ideologically we're very different, so it doesn't have my vote. Eric Turwey, Democrat. Another guy. He was not at the convention I went to, but I am seeing this with Democrats over and over and over, and it makes me really hopeful. He's only gotten about $8,000. I don't know how you run a campaign on that. That's terrible. And when I say like these things, like it's terrible, these are not indictments on the candidate. It just again goes to show, like, I see why people take corporate and PAC donations, like, because you have to have money to be able to run an effective campaign. So, like, I understand, and just like so many other things, we have Republicans and Democrats that are not on the same level playing field. So it is, it's a lot of the time it's going to hurt Democrats. That's why we need an educated and informed voter base that will see through all this and will look up the candidates and try to learn. So if you're still watching at this point in the video, I appreciate it. Which, by the way, click like and subscribe. It would really help me grow. I need to start mentioning that at the beginning of videos. But yeah, no, he's anti-PAC money. So I'm, big ups from me. He's another universal healthcare candidate. Like, this is another fantastic candidate. You can tell I'm not as hype because Croissant. Like, I'm getting hyped up. Croissant's got 8 times the funding of this guy, and still does not have a bunch of money, unfortunately. But like $8,000. I'm like, man, he's got great policies. He's like I said, universal healthcare. He is one of tax the billionaires. He's anti-war. He's the pro-affordability agenda, pro-working class, anti-Epstein class. Like, he's a great candidate. We'll see. We'll see what happens with him. I'm just, I won't get my hopes up, sadly. But like, certainly, like, we need to show up. If you're passionate and driven, you need to get out and vote, and be on the lookout for these candidates. Frank Lucas. I don't know if he is. I don't know if he's a representative, maybe. 472,000 total donations. 400,000. It's actually 393,000 or PAC or committee donations. So that's another guy that doesn't. He's not going to govern for Oklahoma. And this, circling back to John Croissant real quick, the difference between the difference between Frank Lucas's total donations, less all his PAC donations, like, Croissant has been able to pull in individual donations, just as many individual donations as Frank Lucas, who's been in Congress since 1994. So that makes me excited about Croissant. But, this guy, Frank Lucas, takes mega corporate money. He's pro-farmer. I don't know how you are a modern-day Republican and you're pro-farmer. Like, completely the Republican Party has just dismantled the farmers. I don't, like, it's whatever. It all goes back to identity politics and not actual policy outcomes and ideology. It's just anti-democrat, so whatever. But the thing is, a guy who takes a bunch of money from PACs, I don't know that he's going to be pro-farmer, and especially because the type of committees or PACs that would be like pro-agriculture are going to be like big ag, and not your farmer out in Fay, Oklahoma, who's busting his back, just barely making any money and watching diesel skyrocket. It's just, I don't trust candidates like that. Like, every single time you see me talk about these donations and they just take mega PAC money, I'm not having it. There's no exceptions for me. There's literally no exceptions. Even Democrats in the federal Congress, I honestly can't think of any off the top of my head. But like, if I were to see somebody who, Obama took a whole bunch of PAC money, took a bunch of APAC money, I think. So, like, you're going to have exceptions where I look at their policy outcomes, I look at their total career, and I'm like, you were still really good. But, like, maybe that's part of the reason why Obama was a moderate and not a hardcore leftist. So, stuff like that. I've actually got quite a bit more here, and I'm getting kind of running out of steam because I'm only about halfway through this list. I'll end the video, and then I'll start the video again, start the next video, repeating Nikayla Jasmine Thomas. I'm really excited for her. I think that she is about as anti-establishment as it gets. She is running for Senate, and she'll be running against Troy Green in the primary for the Democrats. Like I said, I like Troy. He's a good guy, but Nikayla, like, she gets me pumped up and excited. She is anti-establishment as it gets. She's for universal health care. She's anti-war. She is all about taxing billionaires their fair share. So, and she does not take any corporate money, no PAC money. She runs a really good social media campaign. So I think that stuff's important for trying to, like, catch the eyes, especially the younger voters. And the younger voters are a massively growing demographic that, boomers have owned the most mobile voters, like the most ones that, like the ones that get out to vote. Gen Z may overtake them. They are getting really passionate and excited, which how could you not be? If you're like 24 years old and you're graduating college with, $100K, $200K student debt, you can't afford a house to save your life. You don't think you're going to be able to afford a house till you're like 50, 60 years old. How could you not be passionate and be like, what? Like, this is what you handed me in the world's richest country in history? So, I think Nikayla working the social media channels like she is really helpful. So, candidates like her get me fired up, man. I'm so hopeful she'll win. She has the deck stacked against her. We just have to be honest with that. But the more the Democratic Party continues to normalize grassroots donors, which it seems like they are, we're moving in the right direction. I don't trust the Republicans to catch up to that. Even though they'll say, the voting base will say, some of them will say get money out of politics. They're not going to. It just benefits them too much, and they'll take every advantage they can get. So, Nikayla gets me excited. I'm very hopeful for her. I'm going to show up loud and proud for the primary for her. We'll see where that goes. Okay. That's the video for tonight. I make these things kind of late. Oh, and I'm getting kind of an allergy attack that's coming on. I just finished mowing my lawn not too long ago. So I'm going to go ahead and call it. And I appreciate you tuning in to Odd One Out. And I hope to see you again. Thank you so much, y'all. Y'all have a great night. And get out to vote. Get out to vote.